Goa is home. It's where I was born and raised. Everything about the place is so familiar. The sights, the sounds, the people, and even the air I breathe. There's just so much familiarity. And yet, there is a lot about Goa that I don't know. It's one of the reasons I promised myself when I moved back that I would make an attempt to learn about Goa's heritage, about its history. And today, that's the reason I am here in the heart of Panji city in Kampal, right next to this historical landmark. But just visiting a landmark, is that really enough? Does it give you a sense of the history that lies behind it? Not quite, right? Of course, we can always read up on information. There are so many mediums available to us. And yet, nothing compares with having someone who's extremely passionate about history explain it to you in a way that brings it alive. So today, we're going to do just that. We have with us Savni Shetye from Exclamations Goa, who will help us decode the history behind this historical landmark. Let's welcome Savni. So, Savni, I'm going to start right off by saying, how come we have something like a cannon right in the middle of Panji city?
Okay. Uh, so this cannon is in fact the oldest cannon that we have in India. You would wonder it now faces a garden, and then you have the Mandavi river over there.
Correct.
Why would someone have a cannon facing a river, and that's so far? It's not even right on the bank of the river. So I would like to tell you that this was originally not here. It was at Banastari, a Banastari fort, which is on the bank of river Mandavi, near which divides Old Goa and Ponda, or nearby on the way to Masher. So from there, it was got to Old Goa, and from Old Goa, it got here.
Okay. You know, when we talk about forts, we generally think of Maharashtra, right? Or we think of Rajasthan, where typically we have seen the kind of forts that we expect a fort to be. Um, I know we have Agwal Fort, which is quite famous in Goa, and yet none of those forts really match up to the grandeur of the forts that you will find in Maharashtra and Rajasthan. What's the reason behind that?
You might have even thought when I mentioned Banastari Fort, and if people, the viewers, if they've been to Banastari, there's no fort anywhere there. So apparently there was a fort there. It was more of a fortification, like a wall around the city. Now where Banastari Bazaar is, like where Banastari market happens, it is more like a street market. Somewhere around there you will see some remaining of the fort wall or some staircase here and there. Some like till I tell you this is the wall of the fort, nobody would ever know that it was a fort. So it's now in complete ruins. But once upon a time, that was an international boundary between Portuguese and the Adil Shah, and many wars have been fought there, like Adil Shah and Portuguese and Sambhaji Maharaj.
How?
So but right now I have nothing to show you over there. It's just like a simple some fort walls here and there.
Imagine there's so much of history right here in Goa, and we don't really read about this in history books. There's no mention about it, and I suppose unless you are a student of history or very very passionate about it, you wouldn't really venture into that territory or even know about these things, right? So, Sami, I don't want to just look at this and take a few pictures and go. I'd like to understand from you a bit about this structure.
Okay. So before I tell you about this canon, this particular canon, I would like to add something about the previous question about the forts. The reason why we don't have like a huge grand forts in Goa is because all the wars were fought in Goa with the help of cannons. So in Maharashtra, the fort used to be in the middle of the city, and getting to the fort level, like the main citadel, was the toughest thing. Like forts like Raigad could be defeated only by treachery, nothing else. They were so like impregnable fort. Then you have forts in Rajasthan which were more of aesthetic values because people would stay inside the fort. Here in Goa, even the Banastari Fort, your Resh Magus Fort, Agwa, Chaporra, and all these forts used to be on the boundaries, and they were used more to collect taxes and tolls and keep a watch on the river or whichever the sea, whichever was nearby. But and they would fight with cannons. So other places they would fight actual war, which was more of like with swords and like other weapons. But with cannons, your job is easily done. You can fire one cannon, and you can maybe kill or harm 20-30 people in one shot. And this is something the Portuguese introduced here in Goa. You might know, like most history books talk about first cannons being used in Panipat. But before that, in 1511, we had this one, and I would like to take you to another person. I don't know, but one thing called as Maria, and that's the scan.
Wow, a cannon with a name, right? Okay, so what secrets does Maria have that we are going to discover today? Let's check with Savni.
So, as I told you, this being the oldest cannon, use of cannons later in India actually changed the way battles were fought.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I mean, it's like you fight a war from within your own home. You don't have to face the enemy. You don't come face to face with the enemy, and yet you can destroy so many in one go, right? Yeah, that's. I mean, I can imagine what it must have been like. So how one of the um, drawbacks of having cannons, as one can imagine, because of its size, would be that you can't really transport them everywhere,
Yes.
right? So if you had to fight a war physically in some place, you cannot carry your own cannon with you. So in that sense, when people went to fight wars to a particular fort or to a place where there were cannons, how would they manage that?
So they would take it usually the cannons on a like with elephants, and would take them months and months to take the cannon from one place to another.
Right.
But that is when you declare a war and you are going with your huge army.
Right.
So the Adil Shah or any like Mughals would do that. Any other smaller armies for that matter who could not declare a war and take their cannons and use so much of transportation, they would do a short trick. Like Indians are known for their jugaad.
Yeah.
So where there's a hole where you light the wick, they would send a lady in the enemy's camp, and they would mesmerize the soldiers with their dance, music, and some kind of maybe liquor also. And when everyone was asleep, their job was to go and close the hole from where you light the wick. So they would do it maybe with an iron rod or a nail, like a heated nail or something. And literally, you make the whole cannon as huge as this completely useless.
Imagine just one nail rendering a whole, equipment ineffective. That's amazing. I really can't believe that we've had such a majestic piece of history amongst us right in the middle of the city, and I haven't seen it until today. But I'm also glad that we had you to, explain the finer points of this historical monument to us. So thank you so very much, Savni Shetye, for being with us in Tinsans. We wish Exclamations Goa the very best. We hope that you continue with such offbeat experiences within Goa and elsewhere, and help people from outside Goa and within Goa also to see a Goa that just lies beyond mere beaches, the sun and sand. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Aarti, for having me here. It was really nice to be part of this. And I'm sure many people have come to Children's Park here but have not known the actual value of this cannon. So this is what a small attempt that we're trying to do to try and make more awareness about such small interesting pieces of history all over Goa, so that we like talk about Goa more than the beach and boozes and all that's talked about otherwise.
Thank you so very much. We wish you all the best. If you visited such offbeat places in Goa, Let us know about them in the comment section. We hope you liked today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Do not forget to click on the bell icon to receive future notifications. We will meet again next Friday. Until then, Mogasu.